Hi everyone. As some of my other projects are a bit held up at the moment, I thought I would do a quick video on my screwdriver holders that I'm 3D printing. I've been trying to organise my bench a bit more, or my sort of work area a bit more, and I've been collecting these Draper screwdrivers and 3D printing holders for them so I can mount them all on the walls. So the holders here, the black holders, are 3D printed. And I've almost finished it. We've got a space up here where I'm going to put some Torx versions. So we've got Phillips drives in blue and Posi drives in green, and then we've got flat blade in red. So in the space I've got left here, I'm going to put some Torx, which will be grey, which are the ones that are down here on the bench. Unfortunately, I did order 4. They would be... This is a T10. It's a little small one. So they were going to be a T10, a T20, a T30, which is missing, and a T40. But the T30 that turned up, it was a T30, but it was a completely different design. It was a Draper. I brought it from eBay, and the picture showed it like handle like this, but when it arrived it was just a completely different design. I'm not sure that Draper actually make these anymore. They may have been discontinued, but hopefully I'll be able to pick one up second hand from somewhere. Or, well, they're not second hand, you can still get them new, but you'd probably have to get them from somewhere like eBay. Yeah, so these are the holders I've been printing. But this one here is slightly wrong design, slightly incorrect hole sizes. So let's take a look at how I designed these holders in Fusion 360. So here we are in Fusion 360. This is what I used to design the part. Now Fusion 360 is actually free for personal use. You just have to do a little bit of digging around to find the download for it. But after you've registered your email address with them, you can download it and use it for free for personal use. They don't really advertise that fact. They do advertise that it's free for educational use, but I think you have to prove that you're eligible for that. Or you've got the paid version, or yeah, if you do a little bit of digging, it is actually free for personal use. It's a really good tool, so check it out. So yeah, I've got my part here. I'm going to just very briefly explain the steps I went through to design it. You've got all the steps down the bottom here, and you can actually move backwards or forwards through them to the different stages. So we'll just go through these one by one. So very first thing, I always start off super simple, and I just create literally a sketch of a rectangle. Simple as that. Just the length and the depth that we want it. Finish the sketch, and then I extrude that up, and that gives me like a block. So yeah, start off really simple. Next step, I chamfered off the front edge. So it's just to take the edge off there. I think it might be flickering a bit because I'm screen recording. Struggling a bit, I think. Next step, another sketch. So now I just drew some squares. I wanted the larger screwdriver over here on the left, so I've gone 17 by 17, and I've got 2 medium-sized ones in the middle, 15.5 by 15.5, and then a little small one on the end at 11 by 11. So just literally squares. And the next step, I just sunk those down into the part a little bit. Zoom in there, you can see they're just sunk down tiny little bit. Next step, I radiused the corners off. So yeah, I think that's called a radius, or a fillet. That's the word I was looking for. A fillet on the corners just to round them off. There's 4 of those, 1 for each square. That's the second one, third one, and the radius has got smaller as the square got smaller. And then the last one is there. Then we've got another sketch. This time, again, super simple, just circles placed in the center of those squares. This one is 8mm, a couple of 7mm. This one's 8mm, then we've got 7mm, 6mm, and 5mm as the screwdrivers get smaller as you move to the right. And then again, just extrude those down all the way through the part to make the holes. So the steps are all really simple. The next step was to chamfer off the edges. So we've kind of got sloped edges on this recess now. Again, 1 for each square. So the recess kind of follows the contour of the handle of the screwdriver, just to make it a little bit more snug as it sits in there. And there's the third one, and then the fourth one. Then another sketch. This time I'm sketched on the sort of front face, just squares here. A little bit difficult to see. It's just literally 4 lines there to make a square, and they match the dimensions of the holes, so 8mm, 7, 6, and 5. And then I calculated the gaps between them. I think I actually used formulas to calculate what the gap size should be in between these squares, and then literally just extrude them backwards until they meet the circles, and that gives us the slots from the front. Next, we've got another sketch. This time it's just another rectangle. Again, a super simple step, just a rectangle across the back there. And then I extruded that up, and that gives us that back section. Let's have a look at the end. I don't know why it doesn't want to rotate. There we go. Yeah, so we've now got the sort of L shape by extruding that rectangle upwards. We're nearly there. I chamfered the edges off just a little bit, just knocked the corners off the edges. Then we've got another sketch. These are the fixing holes to fix it to the wall, so just circles, 2 circles, 4.5mm, 20mm in from the end, and what have I gone, 14mm up from the very bottom. I extrude them back, that makes the holes, and cut right through. You should be able to see that. There we go, the holes go right through. And then I didn't want the screw heads to stick out and interfere with the screwdriver. I don't think they would have done, but on the larger one I was a little bit worried that perhaps the screwdriver wouldn't fit because the screw is in the way on the back. So I've recessed them in, and to do that we just literally add a chamfer to the circle, like that. So not really a tutorial on how you use Fusion 360, but just showing you the basic steps that I went through to create the shape. And then finally, the thing I really like about Fusion 360 is if you select the body here, it turns blue. Yeah. And then you can right click on that and save as STL. So that gives us an STL file that we can then load into Cura. So not really much to do in Cura really. Let's have a look at the settings here. I've got a 0.2 layer height, wall thickness 1.2. Actually that's wrong. The wall line count is 2. I think that overrides the wall thickness. I think the wall thickness would be 2 lots of 0.4, so it would be 0.8, which is why that wall thickness is greyed out there, so ignore that. Then we've got top and bottom thickness at 0.8, which is 4 layers. There's 4 lots of the 0.2. Oh, and I've just noticed here we've got this horizontal expansion of minus 0.1. I didn't realise that. Hopefully that won't affect the part too much. That's what I've been using on the in-move parts. Infill density 20%, a grid pattern, print speed 50 millimeters per second, cooling is on, and I'm using a brim at 2.4 millimeters. So I think these are pretty much my default settings, really. It says here it's going to take 4 hours and 2 minutes, and we can take a preview of that. So this shows how the layers are going to be built up. So the blue here is the brim, so that will break off afterwards. And then we can see how the part's going to grow as the layers are laid down. I think that all looks pretty straightforward. So all we've got to do is save that to a file and get it loaded into the printer. So that's the print started. Hopefully the first layer will go down okay. Cura said that it would take 4 hours, and it's now about 9 PM, so I'm going to have to get up at about 1 AM in the morning to come and check on this and turn the printer off. So there we are, 3 hours 58 minutes, so Cura was pretty close. It's finished printing. It is pretty well stuck to the bed still, so I did stick it down with glue stick. I should have said that at the beginning. What I'll do is I'll switch the printer off now. We'll leave it until the morning and I'll come back to it, and this should have just popped straight off the bed. So the bed is now completely cold. It's a few hours later, so this should be easy to take off. I actually put tape on the brim. I kind of always do that now as a safety precaution to stop it from lifting at the ends or the corners. Usually it's not required, but I always regret it if I don't do it and then it does lift. You can see it just comes straight off. So that will just fit up there. So I'll have to remove the brim. And there we go, it's up on the wall. Real shame we've got one missing, but we'll get that soon. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. It's another little weekend project finished and out the way. So if you enjoyed that, give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.